We're back live from Capitol Hill, where Republican senators have been working through the weekend in an attempt to get the president's budget plan over the finish line. The president has been working to convince holdouts to get on board with the bill. Success last night with that first step in this process. Now, all this comes days after he returned from a NATO summit where he got new commitments from partner nations and reassured some skittish counterparts. Joining me now, Delaware Democratic Senator Chris Coons, who was at the NATO summit as well. Welcome back to the show. It's good to have you.
Thanks. Great to be on with you, Shane.
Okay, so let's start here. There's now a commitment from just about every member nation to get to 5% of their GDP for defense spending. The Secretary General gives the president credit. There was this text message between the two that the president released. The Secretary General said he was fine with that. It said this: Donald, you have driven us to a really, really important moment for America and Europe and the world. You will achieve something no American president in decades could get done. Europe is going to pay in a big way, as they should, and it will be your win. Now, I know you're concerned about the way some of that money will be spent moving forward, but do you give him the win?
Absolutely. I think this was a successful NATO summit from every perspective. Having President Trump recommit to Article 5, having our European allies, our transatlantic allies come together and commit to significant increased investment in their security is positive from every perspective. What I have said is we need to make sure those funds are spent wisely, that we coordinate well. Look, frankly, part of what drove this was also Putin's aggression against Ukraine. We stand united in supporting Ukraine's fight for freedom. And what I heard about the meeting between President Zelensky and President Trump was encouraging as well. Overall, I thought it was a big success, the NATO summit.
Did you meet with President Zelensky as well?
I did.
Can you tell us much about that meeting and that conversation?
He was upbeat and positive. He's asking not for American funding for more weapons, but for the ability to buy more American weapons, given that Europeans are funding their next round of weapons acquisition. He really needs air defense because Putin's Russia continues to hammer civilian targets within Ukraine, schools and hospitals and apartment buildings, and they're striking military targets. They just pulled off a spectacular strike deep inside Russia. President Trump's called for a ceasefire. President Zelensky has agreed. President Putin is not agreeing. He's continuing to strike deep into Ukraine, and I hope that President Trump will realize that Putin's playing him and that he needs to come down harder on Russia. Senators Graham and Blumenthal have a sanctions bill that I hope we will take up and pass next week.
Okay, so before we leave NATO, I want to talk to you about the Secretary General praising President Trump over this situation with Israel, with Iran. Of course, while you guys were there, that was just playing out, the aftermath of that. Here is the Secretary General with praise for those strikes.
I just want to recognize your decisive action on Iran.
Thank you.
You are a man of strength, but you're also a man of peace. And the fact that you are now also successful in getting this ceasefire done between Israel and Iran, I really want to